The Edmonton Oilers have made some changes to their coaching staff. A few of these expected. Dustin Schwartz was not offered a contract. His contract ran out in June. He is no longer with the organization. Based on what I've read in our chat, this should instantly mean whoever's in net for the Oilers wins the Vezina.
It's safe to assume.
It's that easy.
Yeah. They should line up.
It's that easy. So Dustin Schwartz no longer with the organization. Paul Coffey is stepping away from his role on the bench. He's going to stay in the organization and return to his previous role, which was special advisor to ownership and hockey ops.
Which I believe he still had, right?
I think so. He just had 9 jobs, which is fine. Some
like
people
me.
are like that.
Yeah.
And coming in for the Oilers are a couple of new names. Paul McFarland is going to be on the bench. He's going to run the power play. We're going to talk about him a little bit more with Jeff Marek. You see the name Conor Allen there. He's going to be a skills coach. He's not going to be on the bench. Kris Knoblauch today at his press conference said he's going to have more of a role that is individual player development versus like being on the bench and running one part of something or whatever. But Paul McFarland's going to run the power play, and Peter Aubry is their new goaltending coach. So they go with a very traditional goalie coach kind of hire. He has connections back to the Chicago Blackhawks, was a big reason in names like Arvid Soderblom, who was developed through that organization's turning into a goalie for them now. A couple of other names, some European free agents have come up through their ranks with Aubry.
Corey Crawford.
I don't know if he would have gotten. I
think he was there, wasn't he?
Maybe right at the tail end.
What's his first name? Sorry, Peter.
Peter Aubry. Paul McFarland. Peter Aubry. Don't get those. That's going to take a minute.
I looked as well. He was most recently, if I'm not mistaken, at the University of Nebraska Omaha.
Interesting.
And if you go look at their goalie stats, all pretty solid.
All
He
right.
was an assistant coach. He wasn't the goalie coach, but I mean, it's hard to imagine he didn't have some involvement in that.
Yeah.
He was there after the Chicago Blackhawks run. My bad.
Yes. No Corey Crawford. No credit for Corey.
No credit.
This isn't Stop the Press. We have a new lead news with the Oilers changes, but still for the Oilers market, it's relatively big news. So you throw it out there, and there's some flypaper to this one. Paul McFarland's a fascinating guy. Now, I started to hear last week, I'm sorry to walk backwards on how this thing all came together. Started to hear that very quietly the Calgary Hitmen were sort of poking around new head coaches, which led me to believe that either Paul McFarland had been fired or has another job. And knowing how Paul McFarland is thought about, there's no chance he was going to get dusted. So that sort of led me to all of this. And there's been whispers around the Western Hockey League for the past few days that McFarland was going to end up on the Oilers bench, but not unlike me, a lot of people are on summer schedules right now, and as I like to say, their fingers are swollen and they have a hard time returning texts this time of year, I suppose. So I guess the swelling came down this morning. How about that, Tyler? Hey, Liam, how are you? I love the old Grant Fuhr pass out mask, by the way. That was great.
Thank you. It's not the first time I've worn that mask on the show, actually.
We only go to it when we're really hurting.
Yeah, when we're really in. But I'm doing good. I think the one thing I like about McFarland, too, is he's only 39, and he has a ton of experience as a head coach, worked in Hockey Canada at certain events as well. He's young, and I like the different approach that the Edmonton Oilers are kind of going with here. Like, these guys have experience, but they're not just old guys who have been around the block.
Yeah. So I go back. I first met Paul. This would have been when he was an assistant with DJ Smith with the Oshawa Generals. He was there for a couple of years and then head coach of the Kingston Frontenacs, and was on the bench with the Florida Panthers with Bob Bugner, on the Toronto bench with both Mike Babcock and Sheldon Keefe, Dave Hackstall with the Seattle Kraken, and most recently, of course, with the Calgary Hitmen. That's the bio. That's what they say in the yearbook. The first thing you'll notice when you either talk to, encounter, listen to, watch Paul McFarland, he's a really smart guy. Like the way that the McFarland boys, and full disclosure, his brother John, for years and years and years, trained both my kids. John McFarland was a second-round draft pick of the Florida Panthers, and I kid you not, like when I used to watch him in the GTHL, I remember saying, like, this is the best youth player I've ever seen in my life. He could do everything: skate, shoot, check, like all of it. I remember we would all watch John and we would say, like, we're not just watching someone who's going to play in the NHL. We're watching someone that's going to be a star. And a lot of it, and this is all by John McFarland's admission, and now he's a coach in the GTHL with the Markham Majors. He would always say, like, everything came really easy to me, but my brother had to work for everything. And Paul played in the OHL, then went to Acadia, took his OHL scholarship money, and went to university at Acadia. And he had to work for everything. Where it all came easy to John, Paul had to work for it. And he's taken that work ethic and applied it to his pro career. He's the guy that goes to every conference. He's the guy that goes and reads everything and gobbles up every interview. A complete sponge. That is what and who Paul McFarland is. And you can really get that sense when you talk to him or you hear him interviewed. He's a really smart guy. But the thing is, he doesn't. I never got the impression with Paul that he treated information as a final destination, more as this bit of information is a temporary staging post, and I'll keep my mind open in case I need to change my mind about certain things. So when you mention, like, yeah, it's a progressive hire, young guy, it really is for the Oilers.
What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.